Well, this video is kind of just generally about getting older, and how do I word it? You know, like I'm Peter Pan. You know, how do I word that? I just saw a movie actually recently on Netflix called I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and I really like some of the dialogue in that movie. It tore me, you know, my soul into shreds. You know, it was so relatable. And the guy in it's basically talking about how he kind of like admires youth, or, you know, like being a kid or whatever. And this isn't necessarily about that specific movie, but you know, I was kind of framing some shit through that scene that like I experienced in my life. And I just feel like, you know, I know so many people who just get totally lost, man. It's kind of like that song Bill Murray by, you know, the Gorillaz. It's a great song. And, wow, this guy's lights. I don't understand what these, like, all these lights are now, these bright-ass lights. Everybody's got these, like, xenon whatever lights, or whatever they're called. But, really hard to think. Somebody's like right behind me with their bright ass lights. Anyway. Yeah, basically I have some all-encompassing theories actually about life in general. Oh, look at this fucking guy, yeah.
Oh, you wanna be right behind me, huh? Oh, you gotta be somewhere right now to whatever, 9:40 at night? You going to a big business meeting, huh?
Stupid fucking cock ass. Totally like ruining my video, honestly. I mean, he doesn't know he's ruining my video, but he's fucking ruining my video. So fuck that guy, whoever you are. But basically, and this also relates to the point I'm trying to make, which is my all-encompassing theory of when you're a kid. I don't know if I've discussed this before in a previous video. These are all jumbled messes of just like autism, basically. You know, I just ramble. But when you're a kid, you look at some kid or whatever. I know kids can be mean, but in general, before a certain age, a kid will just be like, "Oh, Mom, why is that guy fat?" Or like, "What's that mole on their neck?" Or whatever. You know, kids are kind of like shameless like that. They really like don't know any better, and they're kind of like they don't get into the whole like polite, you know, whatever. But it's not so much that kids are way ruder. They're just kind of like unfiltered, asking questions. I think I did talk about this too. I talked about this with humor, I think, in the last video. But yeah, and there's also a fine line with talking about how much I like, you know, like admire like youthful spirits without sounding like a fucking weirdo. Because that's like our society. People get corrupt, man. It's weird. I mean, not to sound like a Michael Jackson type or something, you know, whatever. I don't know. Who knows what happened with that shit? But yeah, I don't know. It's just like they're very unfiltered, and it's partly because, you know, their egos are just they're not solidifying as much as they're not solidified egos. Because as you get older, people become more and more egocentric, basically, in the worst way. And it used to be kind of like a just shameless, harmless question where somebody would be like, "Oh, like, why are you fat?" Like, you know, stuff like that. And then it just turns into like a meanness, you know. And then it turns into, I'm going to say, a backhanded comment or whatever. I'll find some scummy, sly way of insulting somebody without, you know, getting fired and canceled or whatever. And I'll try to find some way to make myself feel better. You know, it's like the guy really fucking struggling in the race. And this is, I mean, it's all borrowed thoughts, right? You know, that's the thing. It's just like I don't have a unique thought in my head. It's all a conglomeration of my entire life. I listen to a few people that talk about, I like negative philosophies and psychology, to be honest, I guess, because it kind of relates a lot to my theories. But Yeah, it's basically you're in like a race with somebody, and if somebody's falling behind some whatever, they'll string you up. Honestly, they'll throw a fucking noose around your neck and drag you along to make themselves feel better. But God forbid you actually pass them. As soon as you pass them, they'll slice you in the heel. You know what I mean? That's kind of how life. And you can listen to this video. I know there's pretentious people too. They'll. Who knows if they're, I mean, my fucking whatever, 8 views, you know. But there's pretentious people too. They listen to this video and they're like, oh, well, that's too bad you have that outlook there. And they're a pretentious asshole. That's the thing. It's like, oh, it's too bad you see the world for really what it is. It's too bad. It's too bad I'm so egocentric. Oh. Yeah, it is too bad. It's too bad you're a shithead. And also I wanted to touch on the subject of your pleasure in general, and this is a big thing that it's like respect to God, whatever. I don't believe in God, but you know, respect to whatever creation, whatever, you know, just bullshit. However it works, had to work some way. Everything kind of goes up and down, right? You know, there is sort of a duality to things. So when you start youthful and you know, fresh, and you regenerate, your body regenerates quickly, and you can bounce back, and you have a drink at 20 and you bounce back, and hangovers used to feel good in a way. It almost used to feel like I drank an energy drink the next day. That's the thing. But your pleasure and the cost of your pleasures as you get older keeps getting more and more costly as well. So not only your ego is not all overinflated when you're a kid, and honestly I think it happens about the time of puberty. I think and this is another theory, the whole like egocentrism and sex-based motivation in life, I think that's a huge factor. And I also think it's a big factor with, you know, serial killers and stuff. I think just about every serial killer, and this has been said by somebody in Mendham actually, and this, I'm sure it's not too new of a theory, but I do think serial killers pretty much all suffer from having incredibly huge egos. Like 90 whatever percent of them are narcissists, and they just think they're more important than everyone else. They think everyone else is a bug. They think everyone else is like a fucking, you know, a dog, a primate, a pig, whatever, like, you know, these people, you know, they call other people by something, and this is also used in war as well, and whatever, I mean, touched on in Black Mirror, etc. You know, you have to kind of like minimize everyone else to be able to, you know, kill them or play with them or whatever. And really, I mean, just being an adult, I see that's, call me fucking Peter Pan, honestly, it's not very offensive, you know, and you think, oh, how am I doing compared to my peers? Oh, how am I doing to those shitheads? Oh, wow, I wonder if they have their 9 to 5 working in a bank. I wonder if they're happy with their fucking 2.5 kids right now in their late 20s or whatever. And it's just like, I mean, not to sound spiteful, it's just, you know, I liked going to high school. I liked being a kid. I didn't have a terrible time. I mean, I didn't have the best time either. That's why I don't like the argument of like, wow, that's really sad. You must have been like picked on a lot or something. It's like, no, man, I just call it how I see it. And the only good quote, which may have been copied because everything's a copy from a copy from a copy, right? That we say. And I hate to even really shout it out because I'm envious of people making more money, but Leafy is here, that YouTuber. How he said something along the lines of like, you know, oh yeah, you're actually always talking about yourself when you're talking about something else, you know. But, you know, you say somebody has a stupid hat, and it's like, I'm not even wearing a hat, so I'm not really talking about my stupid hat. I know it's a joke, and it's like, oh, you're insecure, it's coming in somebody else's appearance. I know you want to go deeper into it or whatever and criticize what he said, but I thought it was just a funny thing. If you want to take it at face fucking value, you want to be on a roller coaster, you want to watch a horror movie, whatever, you want to, you know, have a beer, you want to take it at face value, I think it was funny. And it was, in a way, I mean, some things just kind of are what they are, man, and some people can see them, you know? And I just think, you know, call me egocentric, right? Call me egocentric, but I do think I see it for how it is. But, yeah, the egos get bigger, they get bigger and bigger, and so did mine as I got older, and now it's harder to just, like, laugh and joke around, you know? Everybody takes themselves so seriously when they get older. And yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to be envious or jealous of anything other than someone maybe, oh, what do I do for a living? Well, I clock in and it's about a 3-hour day. It's a real strenuous 3-hour day where I massage beautiful women for 45 minutes. Then I have sex with them. And then I smoke a joint and watch a movie and slam a beer. And then I do a little writing, write a little poetry, and then I whatever. What do I do after that? Make some pancakes, and that's my day. That's my 3-hour day. You know, unless your job is literally like doing that, don't fucking bother. You know, I'm not jealous. And I know that's what they say too, right? Somebody saying, I'm not jealous. You think you're better than me? You think you're better than me? That, man, they must think everyone's better than them, right? Really, trust me. And this has been my problem throughout my life, though. I'll tell you what my problem's been. I truly am one of the least jealous people you'll ever meet. I really am. I mean, there's some things, like if somebody's eating like a dank-looking sandwich, like that's the inner fat kid in me, right? If somebody's eating like a dank-looking burrito or something, and I don't have a burrito, I get kind of like, oh, I wish I had a burrito, like that douche, you know? All I have is air. Peter Pan flying through the air. But, you know, other than that, it's just like, when you quit your fucking 9 to 5, I don't care if you're making $1 million an hour, you know? As long as you're working that 9 to 5 and you're fucking working some whatever bullshit job, I'm not jealous in any way. When you quit that job, if you're like, you know, if you're amassing that money, you're making $1 million an hour, you work there for a month and then you quit and now you're paradise living. Sure, I'll be jealous then, I guess. That's the thing. It's like, I only care about it comparatively to like the time you spend and the effort you spend. I know I've said this in another video. I don't give a shit how much money someone makes at all. And this is the thing about, I'm trying to circle back to with, you know, more money, more problems, whatever, you know. Not necessarily, but as we get more and more complicated to satisfy as we get older and we become more and more full of ourselves, it does start getting really complicated in the sense of what just took like getting, you know, a case of beer in my early 20s and hanging out with my friends and joking around. And yeah, it was pretty much all free other than like the $16, $17 I spent on a case of beer, which could literally last like weeks, you know what I mean? Depending on if you're sharing it or you're splitting it or, you know, whatever. I mean, you spend, you know, $15 and you can have fun for like, you know, several weekends with it. Really, you buy a bottle, I mean, it could last you 2, 3, 4 weekends or whatever. It's really cheap. I mean, like, I hate to just keep relating everything to like alcohol, but it honestly is such a, in moderation. I don't recommend somebody just drink every day because it's the most cost-effective way for happiness. But in moderation, I feel like, yeah, having a few brewskis with my boys, you know, and joking around or whatever, telling a story, like, it's some of the cheapest entertainment, pound for pound. It's the most effective use of your time and money. Or whatever. Or maybe you want to just all buy a book and then discuss the book. I mean, just interchange what I'm saying. Interchange my toxicity for your, you know, you're so much better than me. Whatever your hobbies are, like knitting. You buy a little ball of thread, how much does that cost? $15, $20? And you could be knitting for weeks, baby! You could be knitting for months! And it's really, really cost effective. That's the thing, you get older and you start, well, I gotta go to Maui and surf the northern blue that only comes every 12 solar solstices, and, you know, it's just bullshit. Like, whatever, you have very specific needs, honestly. You're like a picky child. And it's funny, as you become more of an adult, you're more of a child in a lot of ways. And that's all I see ever. When I was younger, I used to like see adults as these things that like knew what they were doing and like had good advice and like I can trust them, you know. Not that I, you know, got taken into a van or anything. I'm not trying to lead up to anything too terrible, but really, I was a trusting kid. I just thought like, oh man, this person's whatever, 40 years old at this point, 50 years old. Seems like they should have something figured out, right? And then as I get older and older, I realize everyone just has this they're all basically like children with like, you know, adult man masks on or woman masks on. They're all like really, really petty, honestly. And like, shout out to Sam Hyde, like he was saying in one of his videos, you know, I like to do shout outs because I am inspired by people. I have my own thoughts, but they do kind of intermingle with other people's thoughts, right? You know, in my brain at least, when I see their shit. But, you know, and this one, it's sort of serious. It was sort of a philosophic, serious topic, but he also made it like funny. Where he's saying, you know, somebody, you know, something might have happened to them in, you know, literally fucking middle school or high school. They got whatever, you know, not to be again with the subject of, oh man, you were bullied real bad. Oh no. But really, I mean, everyone's just kind of compensating for something, right? And it's just like. And like as Sam Hyde was saying, they just want to drive an ice pack in the back of your head, you know? Oh, someone, you know, scuffed your shoes. I think that's what he was saying. Somebody scuffed your shoes, you know, whatever. And like when you were like, you know, 16 or something, and now you're an adult working in an office and you turn your back on them and then they want to drive an ice pick in your head. And that's kind of how it works, honestly. And I remember I don't know if I told this story. Hey, sorry, bro, if you know who you are. No names. But I mean, a great example, I barely talk to anyone at all from my high school anymore. And like, college isn't really much different. I kind of maintained my like same group of friends really from like high school and college. I think someone's pretty lucky if they have even a few like close friends that they can call their friends. Really, if you've got a couple like friends or 3 or 4 friends or a little group, everybody thinks their gang is different than every other gang when they're mostly the same anyway. But if you have a few people you can really like talk to and call close friends, you're really lucky. You're really ahead of the curve, honestly, because a lot of people, they think they have friends, but they really don't. I learned that lesson again and again when I was a kid. And I talked about that in another video where like I got ripped off, you know, $200 here, $300 here, or whatever. I don't want to go into it again, but you know, ultimately, yeah, $600, $700, $800. I don't know how much money I had to, you know, lose basically to realize like what an actual friend is. Or whatever, what a good decision is, you know, when it comes to like letting someone drive my car when I'm younger and at a party. Don't. You want to crash your car, just do it yourself. Never let anybody drive your fucking car, honestly. And you have nothing but yourself to blame. But yeah, basically, I'm getting kind of off subject. You know, you get older. I should plug my phone in actually. Listen to some cool music. Coffee break time. Coffee break. Yeah, so you get older and yeah, just become a shithead. So this guy I knew in, you know, high school used to be one of my best buds, you know? And whatever, he's probably saying the same exact thing about me because everyone gets really, really full of themselves, and that's just sort of how it works. Everybody just gets full of themselves. And I just remember I don't want to say where people lived, but basically another one of my friends who I met actually after I graduated high school, they walked into a coffee shop, bada bing, bada boom, you know. I basically went into their friend group. They were a grade or whatever younger than me. And frankly, you know, and I'm talking, oh man, I really admire youth. You know what I mean? I have no problem being friends with like somebody, whatever, a couple years younger than me or whatever. Like, even when I went to school late, like, dude, I'll hang out with some 22-year-olds. I really don't care. They're fun, honestly. They're fun. They're fun. They joke around. You know, they like to drink. They like to like joke around and tell stories and listen to music. It's my hobbies, really. My only hobby is really like psychology, philosophy, shooting the shit, you know. I don't need to go to Vegas to, you know, and spend $20,000 to, you know, in fucking cards to get off, you know. I don't need to sling a belt around my neck as I'm jerking off, choking my fucking self to get off. And I'm saying get off metaphorically and in, you know, literally the sexual way. But a lot of people, they make it so complicated to like get themselves off, you know, and have a good time and squeeze any sort of pleasure out of life. That's the thing. You take one little moment of happiness some kid has or whatever, and this is why people got obsessed. I know this sounds like just crazy autistic schizophrenic ramblings. And maybe it is. I'm not diagnosed with anything. I don't take medication, whatever. You think what you want, you know? Maybe I'm bipolar. You think what you want. I don't think so. I'm the most average, normal person there is. I really am. I just have a lot of thoughts. So that's the whole thing. The blood of the virgin, you know what I mean? All this like Norsic, like cult shit, you know what I'm talking about. In the movies, the media, like real life, this like weird old-timey like fucking coldy shit where it's like, yeah, we gotta kill a virgin 14-year-old girl and bathe in her blood or whatever it is. You know, it's a really fucked up, basically, I'm not saying it's the same thought, but it's the same, like, vein. It's the same line of thinking of, like, kind of, you're, like, admiring, you're putting it on a pedestal, you're admiring, like, youth. Like, it's very, very valuable. And, you squeeze yourself like a fucking washcloth, and you'll probably get, over a month, all the happiness somebody gets, maybe a week or a month or whatever, depending on how happy you subjectively think you are. Then a kid gets, you know, playing kickball with some other, you know, 8-year-olds or whatever. And that 20-minute span, I'm sure that's like the most colorful, like whatever, unicorn, rainbow, dreamland, Smarties, fucking candy, happiness. You know, that would take you a year to derive from your fucking overcomplicated, egocentric, shit fucking adult life. And the worst part is you're not even really an adult. You're still a kid. Your body's just old. I think that's the big difference. That's the main thing. I really don't feel any different. You can say, well, you're just really immature. Oh, well, you might have some kind of problem. I don't feel any different, really. I mean, I'm a little wiser. I'm a little more mature now than like when I was, 23 or something. But it mainly comes down to I'm just more tired. I'm just more like tired and sore, and my body doesn't regenerate like it used to, and I can tell, I can literally feel that. That's how in tune with myself I am. That's how self-aware I am. I'll tell you. See, that's how egocentric I am, saying that's how self-aware I am. And that's how self-aware I am, saying that's how egocentric I am, and that's how self-aware I am. You know? But anyway, this guy, haven't seen him for a bit. You can tell he's, whatever, kind of going off the rails. Every time I see him, he just seems a little more up his own ass. And, not to sound like a trashy hick, because I know there's people who talk exactly like me, and I hate them, you know? But, like, man, up their own ass, man, Billy Bob, you know, whatever. But, so, my one buddy that I met through the coffee shop, introduces me to his group of friends, and they're probably like some of my best friends to this day, really. And they're great. They're great, some great guys, honestly. Very like genuine people. Really hard to meet. Even people I would say are friends. Out of all my friends, I mean, maybe 2 or 3 of them are like really, really genuine, in my opinion. Sorry if anyone's listening to this video and you think you're not one of the people I'm describing. No names. But whatever. So this guy, so we go to, and at the time, my friend I met in the coffee shop and his gang, his buddy basically, he lived in kind of a shittier area. Don't want to name the area or anything, or like tell anybody where I live or anything like that. But not like it's not like the ghetto or something, or like the fucking swamps or whatever. But I mean, it was like a little shittier, a little seedier kind of bars around the area, like dive bars, whatever. So we're going to like kind of a shittier area, like sort of a dive bar. Like there's people like in this bar that they would talk about like they went to jail for like punching somebody in the face and killing them accidentally. There's a guy telling me how he basically, not saying he's a drug dealer, but essentially telling me he's a drug dealer. He's got a rolled up like ball of fucking bills in his pocket. He bought me a drink. He was nice enough, but I was kind of scared of him, frankly. He's talking about a story how a guy like busted in a door with like an AK-47 or that's the kind of bar we're going to. I mean, I've never seen a fight there, but like there's some like seedy people or whatever. This guy, maybe he didn't know, right? Maybe he didn't get the memo, but the guy that, you know, I kind of had a falling out with or whatever, lost touch of, he shows up. I don't know if he's like coming from work or what. If he's coming from work or what. But he shows up in like a almost like a suit, like not like a full suit, but he has like a nice like vest on and like dress pants and shit. And it's like, where do you think we're going, dude? Like, we're not going to like the 5-star fancy pants, like rich people New York fucking like lounge. Like, we're going to like a dive bar in like kind of a shitty area. Like, you're kind of drawing a lot of attention to yourself. That's another thing I always do with all the interjections. I love dressing like I'm fucking nobody, honestly. And it's not because insecurity. I just don't like to feel like I'm a stereotype, honestly. And that's another lesson I've learned, honestly. It took me to like my late 20s. And I had this like, I had the optimism. I still really consider myself like a outgoing, yes man, like pro-social type. I really do. I love talking to people. I love just being nice, just talking to people, whatever, just shooting the shit. Hey, like nice weather, whatever comes out of it. I just love interacting with people. I do. But it turns out that when somebody looks like a douche, like they usually are. And like I had like years of my life where I was like, let's give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Like, this guy looks like a total chode, but like, and most of the time they were. That's the thing I learned. It's like, you know, like, I've been called a faggot, you know, I've been called a pussy, like from like almost nowhere, like from like these types that I gave the benefit of the doubt, like just doing like small interactions with people. They're like, well, this guy looks like a total tool, but like maybe not. And then it's like, oh, dude, they were a total tool. So it's like, I don't like to look like any kind of stereotype. I don't want to wear some cutoff shirt. I don't want to wear a fucking backwards hat. I don't want to wear any kind of hipster, indie, flannel shit. I don't want to wear a fucking beanie. I don't want to wear some graphics fucking tee. I don't want to wear fucking, you know, anything really. I mean, not that I'm going to run around nude all the time, but yeah, I don't really want to fucking wear anything that just somebody goes, hey, that guy's kind of an upper class, like, geek sort of type. Like, I don't like to wear anything that gives myself away. What's the point of, you know, projecting information to other people? That's like the social game, though, you know? That's a real thing. The social game's a real thing. And as much as I say I'm an outgoing yes man, and I want to say I'm a positive person, whatever, you cannot deny the social game. If you don't think there's a game, then you're silly. You don't understand it. Then you just don't get it. And I didn't get it for the longest time. I mean, I was so naive for a really long time. But sorry, another interjection of the story. So basically, I don't know where this guy thinks we're going. He's wearing like a vest and shit, and we're going to this like basically like a dive bar where like maybe he didn't get the memo, right? But it's not only that. So you're talking to him, whatever, and no names, but it's like he's talking about how he's a manager at like a steakhouse or something or whatever. Like basically all he's talking about, I haven't seen this dude in a bit, and it's like people, when they get older, it's like they lose their creativity, like their storytelling, their humor. Like, I don't know, it's like you don't go up to a random stranger and just like, hey, like I'm gonna tell you a joke. But like somebody who you've been friends with for a while, it's like, I don't want to just talk careers with you, you know? It's like I'm trying to like have a beer and like have a fun night and like laugh and joke around and like, you know, like it's like we're all hanging out, like having beers and going to a bar and stuff. It's like I don't want to talk careers with you. I don't give a shit, honestly. I don't care how much money you're making either. I really don't. You can make $100 an hour. I don't care. I don't care. I'll make 100 paper clips an hour, and if I'm blowing fucking lines off some Italiano's thighs, some hottie or whatever, you know, then some Cuban bitch rolling me a Cuban cigar, and, you know, I'm smoking a doobie with her in a hot tub, I could be making negative $5 an hour. I choose that any day over the week over you making $1,000 an hour working your fucking shit, stressful, whatever job. But, you know, that's just me. I'd rather do nothing, you know, because I value my time. But, so anyway, we're going there, and this guy cannot fucking get over himself. And this is one of the last times I was really like, man, I think this guy's pretty much fucking dead to me. Because we're walking, and this guy, I don't know if I told the story before. This guy's like he's taking his like dog out, I think he's taking his dog out to like take a shit. I think I have told this before now. I'm pretty sure I've told my camera this. I think I've probably posted it too. He's taking his dog out to like take a shit or something. And this guy's like, my old buddy or whatever, starts talking about how like for some reason, he needed to say how he's a manager at a steakhouse. He starts talking to this guy about his job, his like career or whatever, and he's like acting all like, I don't know, he's just like a pretentious like Italian guy. Like he's like, come on by, like I'll cook you up a nice steak. Like, come on by, like, to, like, whatever. I'll cook you up a nice steak. Like, I just remember that rings in my ears. I just remember that so distinctly, because it's like, how did it get from, like, A to, like, Z of we're walking to a bar, and now you're, like, talking to this guy. You're, like, selling yourself to this guy, how, like, you're a manager at a steakhouse and you should come on by and like your buddies and you'll cook him up a nice steak. Like he's taking his fucking like dog out to like shit. It was like a comedy skit on like Saturday Night Live. It was fucking bullshit. And I mean, I see it again and again and again. You could say like, I don't want to be that guy too, where I keep referring back to like, well, in high school somebody was mean to me and that's why humanity sucks, you know. But it's just like constant. Like every time I drive, just about. I mean, especially when I was in like a college town, but like whatever. Even here, it's like every time I drive, anytime I do anything, right? I went to the doctor. I mean, I don't want to go into too many specifics, but I have I want to say a chest deformity, right? Where my chest is a little sunken. It's a semi-rare condition, but I wanted to get that checked out if it was affecting me at all. Mine's actually very mild, and a lot of people probably wouldn't even notice really unless they were kind of like, really inspecting me. But basically there's a non-invasive device to help improve that over a period of time. It's basically like a car dedenter for your chest, essentially. It sounds kind of scary, right? But not as scary as getting your whole chest blown open with like metal bars and shit. The condition's called pectus excavatum or whatever. I think that's how you pronounce it, where you kind of have a sunken sternum a little bit. Mine's fortunately very symmetrical and really pretty minor, so like it's just like minor aesthetic reasons. I'd like it to be better, but I'm not like crying myself to sleep at night about it. Apparently for every test they did, they said it doesn't warrant surgery. My index was very, very mild on it and whatever. But the point I'm trying to get to and reach is that this doctor, well, he was a surgeon, right? He's a pediatric surgeon. And right away, I'm saying how I'm not interested in surgery at all. I told his assistant that, like the desk assistant, whatever. I told him that immediately upon like meeting him and discussing the condition with him. Like, I'm not interested in surgery in any way. I'm hoping it's like an aesthetic thing. And I actually want to give this non-invasive, device a shot. It's supposedly it takes like a solid year. You have to keep, using it or whatever. It's basically essentially just de-dents your chest, like literally like a car, like you de-dent a car. It's basically what it is. You put it on your chest. It's like, so I'm like, yeah, I'm really interested in trying that because it's a lot cheaper. I don't really have the money to like, do a surgery, nor do I want to like get killed. Like, I mean, it's very, very small chance, right? But it's like, I don't want to get killed for like an aesthetic, like minor, like chest thing. So, I was like, I'm more, interested in that. And at first, it's just like the way people respond to you when they just want to like, they're just up their own ass. It's like, oh yes, like I don't usually use that. Of course, because you're a fucking surgeon, right? You want to perform surgery. That's the old saying, if to a hammer everything looks like a nail. And you could say that about my discussion on why people suck, but maybe it's because I suck. Shit. But the verbiage, the wordage, the whatever this guy used when he's like, that's something we could definitely explore, and that's something I can definitely help facilitate acquiring one of those devices, and yeah, I'd be interested in how you do with that and whatever. So I go in, all right, I'm like, okay, cool. And all the while, there's not many people who actually produce these devices, and some of them are even out of country. So especially in this day and age with the the virus and everything, it could take a real long time to get it delivered. And I'm pretty excited about using it, especially during this pandemic when I have nothing really going on or better to do. So I'm kind of like thinking, should I wait? Is he going to help facilitate this for me, right? Is he going to, I don't know, does he have one? Can he get one at a discount? Can he like help in any way, really? Because it just comes to acquiring one that I want. And if it's like, if I'm not going to get some sort of doctor discount, like what's the point of waiting for this guy, right? Or so you can help fucking facilitate it, just to use like, I can do that because I'm a big fancy doctor, So I'm thinking right away, this guy's not going to help me in any fucking way whatsoever. And this guy's a surgeon, and he's not going to help me in any way acquiring a device, helping me get it for any less money than it would be if I paid out of pocket for it. He's not going to sign off on anything. He's not going to give me a signature like, like a fucking, you're ordering glasses offline or anything like that. Because there are websites, the original device by a German guy or whatever, they want like an actual doctor's approval for theirs, but there's a lot of other ones that you don't need like a doctor's approval or whatever, or them helping facilitate it, right? So what do you know? I get some tests done. I get multiple tests. I get an MRI, I get a stress test, etc. Basically, the conclusion, and they made an appointment for me automatically, right? So I'm going to my appointment. Oh, wow, what do you know? They canceled it, like, literally, I think it couldn't have been more than a few days before or something. I go on this stupid Cleveland Clinic My Chart thing. Like, back in the day, you'd actually, like, get a call, right? Like, so much good for this My Chart. Everything's online. You don't really ever talk to anybody. I just went to my appointment that they scheduled for me. It was, like, fucking 45, 50 minutes away. And I find out there in the, the coronavirus fucking lobby that, it looks like they canceled it because it wasn't necessary, and they were actually just going to follow up on the phone, right? Exactly. So once the test said, okay, everything seems to be like pretty normal and fine, and like there's really no like major like abnormalities or anything like that. I mean, this guy couldn't even bother to like follow up and discuss the test results, right? Basically, never heard from this doctor again. And I even mentioned that on the phone, like the follow-up, phone call. I was like, yeah, I'm still interested in that, the device or whatever, the non-invasive device or whatever. And he seemed to really brush that off. And it's like, are you like interested in any way? I'm like, should I like tell you if I get one? Should I even tell you about it? Maybe if you would find, the data interesting, if I keep a log or whatever of, the changes, made or whatever. He's this bullshit. Like, yeah, well, if you see any difference, like, I would be interested in that. But, what I mean? Basically just completely blowing me off entirely when he realized he wasn't performing surgery, really. I mean, once people realize they're not going to get fucking anything out of you, I mean, they just completely, like, blow you off. Unless they're actually, like, a genuine friend, nobody's really going to have your back. And that's kind of what I was referring to as well. With yeah, just kind of like the metaphor of life being like a race, where like people will like love to help you when like they have ample amount of time and resources. But see, the thing is, a lot of people, and this again is very almost mirroring kind of, and I have to shout it out because it is mirroring, like a Sam Hyde talk that he said before about how people, it's almost like a Joe Rogan-y kind of thing too, so I'll throw his name out as well. But people, it's almost like they kind of feel like they're always in this state of like attrition, and they're always like Joe Rogan like always likes to say the abundance mentality or whatever, and that's what's wrong. Like people, the nicest people have an abundance mentality, right? People let things slide or whatever off of them, or they want to help you out or whatever, just a stranger. They have an abundance mentality. They live their life like they have resources. Even if they don't, they have the mindset of like, yeah, it's all going to be okay. I'm doing good, and I'm not like starving to death. But a lot of people are in this like attrition loop where they feel like they never have enough, even if they do have enough, right? They'll never actually admit like, I'm doing pretty good actually. So they never can actually just stop to like genuinely help somebody. It's more like a for show, like for their ego thing. So it's like the fucking retarded person's falling behind, like, you can do it, yay! And this is a big problem as well. It's a big problem. This relates a lot to psychology, and I studied psychology in college. And that's what my degree's in as well. And I went to a therapist as well, essentially for fun. I'd like not to, be egocentric and say, I have no problems at all, I'm a perfect human being. But I really did go just to talk to somebody, just to whatever. Like, I find the procedure itself kind of interesting because it's my area of study and my area of interest as well. So, just, shooting the shit, really. And I've just noticed that, in life, and it's not one example. I've actually been to like a therapist a couple times throughout my life. I mean, believe it or not, I'm the perfect human being, right? But I've noticed that it's like everyone just sort of does the thing they do for themselves, really. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, like, cool, like, and that's, calling a career advisor or whatever. It's like, you have to be a very special kind of stupid to, like, go to a therapist or to, like, talk to, like, a college career advisor and get, quote unquote, really good advice. Like, it's kind of like, I don't know if maybe what I'm afflicted with, like, this demotivation is very specific to me, right? It's possible. But the way I see it is it's very all-encompassing, psychologically. A lot of people are afflicted with this problem where, it's like, how do you go to a therapist? And they're expensive as shit, by the way, right? I mean, if they really wanted to help you, it seems like they do it for fucking free, right? Not for whatever, like, exorbitant amount of money that therapists make. And they're like taking money from people who, first of all, some people can't afford it at all. Like, the people who really have problems, like, oh, okay, like, my life is really shitty and like I'm living paycheck to paycheck and I work at like McDonald's and I get shit on all day and I really don't get any respect at my job. And like, it's fine for like a high schooler kid to like learn the value of a dollar or whatever, but like, there's a lot of people just working shitty jobs, and that, like, I'll say right now that that's half the problem. Like, you're kind of in a rut, you're in a ditch, you're kind of having a bummer day or a week or month, dude. It's probably because your job sucks, honestly. It's probably because at your job you don't make enough money for what you do. I can almost guarantee that. I have said this time and time again, I don't want to go into it, but you probably don't make enough money for what you do. Unless you're like upper management, then you probably make too much money for what you do, asshole. But, the kid flipping burgers, keeping the McDonald's afloat, literally, for the whole day, raking in all the profits for the whole day, they're the register guy, and they flip the burgers, they make the food, they clean the bathrooms, they wipe the tables. They're doing everything with a little small crew of 3 or 4 people. They're really just like, it's their restaurant, essentially, but they're sure as shit not getting paid like it's their restaurant, right? They're getting paid like $8 an hour during a fucking pandemic or whatever, So, yeah, it's probably because you have a shit job, right? It's probably because your circumstance actually does kind of objectively suck. See, like, they like to think everything's like, it's just a mindset, when some people really are in better positions than other people. And that's a fact. People are measurable. Your job is measurable. How good your job is. How much time you can spend on your hobbies, right? Etc. So, I don't know. It's just like, even the advice just about like introspection and like being self-aware, it's like, oh, did you ever think about like their feelings, or like how like this person perceived this situation, or like, let's step outside your own box, your own bubble for a second. It's like, yeah, I already do that. Like, yeah, I'm actually a well-rounded, like, introspective person. Like, I mean, I love psychology and philosophy, or do, and art and shit. Yeah, I think about myself. I look in the mirror. So there's nothing a therapist can tell me, and that came across right, and that came across to my therapist as a bit narcissistic. And I've never been formally diagnosed with any such thing, and I would disagree. As somebody who studied psychology myself, I would disagree. And right, you see yourself. You always see yourself in everything, right? But I don't know, knowing I'm good at basketball when I'm actually good at basketball, is that being a narcissist? You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. Like knowing, like understanding, like in a situation, like, oh shit, like I'm essentially, you know, employee number 2257 or whatever. And I get no respect from my like shithead, like midlife crisis man-child manager or whatever crappy situation you're in, right? And then you look at that situation, you say, well, it's actually a pretty bad situation. See, now the best advice you can get by going to these helpers, you know, these helpers, right? These career advisors and these therapists is like, actually, and this is the only advice I ever fucking wanted, really. When I talked to a career advisor, when I talked to a therapist, like, what is the next step? Like, I know you're not God, you're not a wizard with the crystal ball or anything, but please tell me, what is step one to just having a better life? Like, how do I get into a better situation? And you'll notice these leeches, maybe if you're really, really stupid, they can fucking 15% better get you in a better frame of mind or whatever. If you're one of those, if you're part of the 70%, you know, plebs who really never looks at yourself ever and never analyzes the situation that you're in, like after the fact or in the fact, or you know what I mean? If you live day to day like a fucking dog, like you're not even conscious, and this is actually full circle to narcissism and the serial killer thing. I do sort of relate to that mentality, actually, because there's a lot of people who I view like they're not really even conscious. And I also have a philosophic notion that, you know, what is consciousness? You know, is anyone really consciousness? I mean, it's just moment to moment, all these systems coming together in a deterministic universe. You know, the marble drops and I am spewing words out of my mouth and I barely have time to even think about them. I'm really just kind of watching myself talk. But the point is, with this career advisor or whatever, they never really give you good advice. You know, they want to maintain their position in the world, their whatever, like middle class or upper middle class position, but they never actually give you like, okay, step one to like bettering your life. You know what I mean? Do I need a motivational speaker? No, they talk about a bunch of bullshit too. Do I need a career advisor? Really, most of the time, no. Sometimes they can help you. If you're the whatever, the 40%, or whatever, that you actually need like very specific help and they can actually help you, good job. Same thing with the therapy thing. If you're actually trying to work through something or whatever, you know, you want to be a little more introspective, that's really all it's good for. And it helps you in any way, it even helps you like 1%, and you think it's worth the money, good for you. And in a way it was worth it for me, because I like just talking at people and I like just talking at my camera. So in a way it was worth it, right? I get to hear my own thoughts bouncing off of someone back at me. That's really all I ever was, you know? So, but you'll notice that they never really help you. And I feel like people in general like never really know how to help you unless you see somebody and you're like, I want to be that person. And then you ask them like, all right, like I'm on step like 2 right now. And step 2 might be like, I got born, I learned to walk, and I can drive a car. And now I'm here in this building talking to you. Now what's step 4? Like, what's the next step to doing what you're doing? I want to do what you're doing. You know what I mean? Unless you have, I do envy people who have good mentors, like something they genuinely really love and they want to do, and they have somebody actually doing that thing sort of in the style that they want to do too. Not that, you know, everything's a copy of 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 a copy, right? But I think you really are lucky if you have a good like mentor guiding you. See, you ask somebody like, and that's the same thing with my parents. If I want to know how to pay full price for something in full time, I want to spend full time and full price and not learn how to get a foot in the door anywhere and not learn any shortcuts whatsoever, I'll talk to my parents. But largely, and no offense, they're good enough people, well, you know, whatever, you know. I mean, hey, I love my mommy, right? But they're good enough people. They can never give me good advice on how to, like, you know, achieve the things I really want to achieve. And you know, the things I want to achieve are kind of complicated, really. I mean, it's like, oh, hey, Dad, how do I become like like whatever, like middle or upper management for like a chain like store. Like, how do I do that? You know what I mean? No offense, but it's just like, I never gave a shit about doing that. I don't want your advice. I don't want a therapist's advice. A therapist is a fucking artist. They're like a wordsmith. They do nothing. That's why I like psychology, I like philosophy, because all it is bullshit. You're literally talking to a bullshit artist. You're talking to a motivational speaker. You're talking to somebody like finger painting. When you're talking to a therapist, can you actually give me like advice how to get from step like A to like C and like actually achieving something and like achieving my goals? Can you actually help me with that? No, of course not. They can try to massage your brain like, oh, well, you should be more positive. So if somebody steps on your foot and calls you a pussy, you should like think about their perspective and be more positive about it and maybe not get angry. And I'm a therapist and I'm giving you all this like, and you should be introspective, but you should also respect yourself, and you know, and you are valuable and you are worth it. Like, that's really all it is. It's just like a bunch of bullshit, like cliches. And yeah, I studied psychology, you know? It's just a bunch of bullshit. It's fun. I like talking about it. If you're listening to this video and you like psychology, hey, I like it too. I also like philosophy. I don't like to dick measure philosophy or psychology though. I think in college that was a huge problem. The academia when it comes to philosophy is a huge problem, honestly, because all it is history, and they just go over, oh, this guy thought this, and this is his theory, and then there was this theory, and like it's very pretty like binary the way they think, and it's like, it's kind of like, yeah, well that makes, it's kind of like whatever. I'm just rambling at this point. I should just cut this video off. The whole thing of I forget what it is, the whole problem, and it's funny because I'm watching this show The Good Place, and that gets me to think about it again, where it's like, oh, what's the problem? Okay, you're on a trolley and you gotta go left or right, and on the left there's, you know, there's 5 people in front of you. Sorry, let me frame it better. There's 5 people on the track in front of you, and they're not going to move, and you're going to run them over. Or you can switch tracks. You can make the conscious decision to switch tracks and run over one person. And then you get into the academia of philosophy, and they're going to tell you, oh, no, well, it's not really clear-cut, and it's not really a decisive decision. Really, we have no, like, say, and, like, it's not really right for us to, like, change the tracks to the one person because, and what if you know the person? And what if the one person's a doctor? It's like, dude, it's one person versus 5. Yeah, run the fucking one person over, switch the tracks. I forget what the philosophy is called because I don't give a shit. It's like, whatever that is, whatever that argument is, where it's like, yes, there's good in the universe and there's bad, and this is my boy Emendum, right? He probably hates to be called my boy, right? He also hates the word dude. It's my dude Emendum, right? Where it's like, there's good in the universe and there's bad in the universe, right? And there's pleasure and there's pain. And I forget what it's called, utilitarianism or some fucking bullshit. I don't give a shit, honestly, at all. Because when you're talking philosophy, if you can't make it make sense to a 12-year-old, it probably just doesn't make any goddamn sense. And that really rings true to just about every subject. But, yeah, if you can trade whatever, any amount of pain for pleasure, or minimize the pain or the discomfort for less discomfort and maximize the comfort and the pleasure, then yeah, that's really the right decision. And it sucks. Here's the thing, right? Who gets to decide? Do we have any blah, 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 philosophy of academia? Yes, we can decide. Sorry, it's like, we're not usually in a situation though where it's like, oh, we'll have to torture this person and then that will relieve 5 other people from getting tortured, but we just do not have the moral grounds, the ethical grounds to do that. And it's like, how many situations is somebody strung up and you need to torture them? It's such a stupid example. But like, yes, an example like a more realistic one, I can't even come up with one, right? Yeah, to let's not even come up with examples. To minimize discomfort and maximize comfort, yeah, it's pretty much the most important thing, right? Yeah, I mean, within reason. I mean, I'm not going to be like swallowing, you know, fucking vomit, you know, stepping on needles, bending over backwards for every single person in life who needs a favor or whatever. Duh. But it's like, yeah, like, oh, don't be an asshole, you know? Like, don't put some discomfort in the universe for no reason, right? Oh, if you can be like nice to somebody just randomly, like hold the door open or whatever, like, oh, hey, cool shirt or whatever. Like, do something just small. Yeah, that's important. I would argue it's really the only important thing, honestly. It's the only thing that matters. And yeah, if you could trade one person getting hurt as opposed to 5, then yeah, I think everyone should make the decision. Because here's the thing. Oh, morally and ethically, you can't do that. We just can't do it. You did it already. And here's the thing. Here's my antinatalism argument. You already did it. You had a kid. You did, and as to put into words of, you know, a great philosopher in Mendham, the great philosopher in Mendham, you know, you already voted, you know, and I like to say, I don't know if anyone said this, you know, the whole thing of angel loses its wings thing. You lose your wings as soon as you have a kid. You know what I mean? That's really the fall from grace. And you made the decision to torture somebody as soon as you had a kid, really. So, like, yeah, you already made the decision for somebody, and now it's the aftermath. This is the cleanup. And yeah, part of the cleanup, and it's just like this virus, it's a great example too. You know, when the infection rate is at 0.5 or whatever over a period of X months, then it will be eliminated. It's like that. It's like that with pain in the universe, right? So or what is it called? Solipsism? I think I just remembered it. I hope that's it. But it's like, yeah, if you could trade like 5 people's pain for like 1 person's pain, yeah, I think you should do that. It's just like if you can trade 2 people having the virus for like, okay, now the infection rate's 0.5, now 1 person has the virus 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, yeah, that's a good thing, right? That's like that's what I hope I'm using the right word. That's like solipsism or whatever. And pretty soon it will be so minimized. Everyone in the universe, out of like, you know, whatever, billions of people, they'll be like, what, 4 people in pain, right? And then pretty soon it'll be a perfect society if you actually live by that method. It sucks that once in a while, living by that philosophy, somebody's going to get their head trampled on. But what do you want? What's the alternative? Oh, the 5 people get tortured because we don't have the right to decide. And that's ongoing, and that's somehow better. So 1,000 years later, oh yeah, 200 billion people got tortured instead of the 1 billion people. But it's good because we didn't have the right to decide that 1 billion should have been tortured over 200 billion. And like, yeah, let's let nature just run its course, I guess, you know, because it knows what it's doing. You know, it's mindless. It knows what it's doing. Totally. And let's talk about sex next time, boys. That's the whole video. That's just bullshit rambling. It's just, I'm so thirsty. Gotta go.